Is your liberal professor giving you problems because you oppose same-sex marriage? If so, you need some quick rebuttals that show how same-sex marriage doesn't work. Keep watching because we're going to help you fight back.
You will write 100 times on the blackboard. I will be politically correct in class.
We don't say traditional marriage in this class. That is bigoted. The Bible is not history.
The work of Darwin is irrefutable.
A fetus is just a clump of cells.
We are all equal. Plants, animals, people.
All right, that's it. Enough is enough.
Before jumping into the topic, I want to say that we have no intention to defame or disparage anyone. By intellectually opposing individuals or organizations that promote the homosexual agenda, our only goal is to defend the sacred institution of marriage and the family and protect the treasures of Christian civilization. You and I have every right to defend the truth in charity. Okay, let's go to our first reason. Number 1. It's not marriage.
Calling something marriage does not make it marriage. Marriage has always been the covenant between a man and a woman. That's how children come into the world. That's how families are formed.
A man and a woman has nothing to do with it.
Why does that,
nothing to do with it.
Why does that offend you?
Shame on your definition of marriage.
Same-sex unions are not marriages because they deny the self-evident distinction between male and female, between mother and father. It's very simple. Two entirely different things cannot be called the same thing.
Number 2, it violates natural law.
Marriage is not just any relationship between two people. It's deeply rooted in human nature itself, which is governed by natural law. Now, natural law's most basic precept is this: to do what's good and avoid what's evil. By reason, we know what is morally good or bad. Thus, we understand the purpose of our actions. In marriage, the procreative act of husband and wife has a primary purpose, procreation. To intentionally circumvent that purpose violates natural law and the objective norm of morality.
Every child should be raised by his natural mother and father. This rule is confirmed by the obvious difficulties faced by orphan children. A child who lives in a same-sex union environment is never going to have his biological mother or father. He will always be missing a mother or father role model. Through this, we can see that the homosexual movement downgrades and discards motherhood and fatherhood as something necessary for a child, even when children themselves naturally crave for a mother or father.
And there are single parents like my mom all across the country who do a heroic job raising terrific kids. But I still wish I had a dad who was not only around but involved.
In the name of the family, same-sex quote-unquote marriage serves to validate the homosexual lifestyle and all of its bisexual and transgender variants. You see, civil laws are structuring principles that guide society. Laws shape the life of society and, as such, can mold the perception of right and wrong. That's why I oppose the legal recognition of homosexual quote-unquote marriage, because it obscures basic moral values, devalues natural marriage, and weakens public morality.
A moral wrong can never be a civil right. The homosexual activists say that same-sex quote-unquote marriage is a civil right, just like the struggle for racial equality in the 60s. This is not true. Sexual behavior and race are two completely different things. A man and a woman that want to get married can be black or white, rich or poor, short or tall. None of these differences are obstacles to true marriage because nature is still respected. Same-sex unions, on the other hand, oppose nature.
It's about Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. If God wanted it to be that way, he would have made Adam and Steve, or two females. He didn't. He made man and took the ribs and made woman. Not the other way around. People, come on, it's simple. It's simple, and you're confusing the kids.
Two individuals of the same sex can never be married because it's biologically impossible. No matter how hard a man tries, he can never be a mother. One cannot compare genetic racial traits to non-genetic behavior.
Homosexual unions are 100% sterile.
A man and a woman that get married are naturally able to have children and form a family. But homosexual unions, on the other hand, are 100% sterile. The sexual acts of two men or two women will never produce a child. If two men want to have a child, they have to use artificial means and employ surrogates. There always has to be a woman involved. Their unions cannot form families. Someone could object and say, well, you're saying that couples who can't have children shouldn't get married? The answer to the objection is this. Procreation is connected to the essence of marriage and the family. While a man and a woman may accidentally not be able to conceive a child, their union is still in accordance with nature. In contrast, homosexual unions are sterile and not natural. Alan Keyes gives a great analogy of an apple. If the apple has a worm inside of it, or if it's rotten, it's still an apple. Whereas an orange will never be an apple, no matter what you do to it. It's the same thing with homosexual unions. They will never beget families.
It defeats the state's purpose of benefiting marriage.
One of the reasons why the state gives benefits to true marriage is this. By nature and by design, marriage provides children with the normal conditions for a stable, beneficial, affectionate, and moral atmosphere. This helps perpetuate the nation and strengthen society. Homosexual unions don't provide that. Their primary purpose, objectively speaking, is the personal gratification of two individuals. That's why homosexual unions are not entitled to the same protection that the state gives to natural marriage.
By legalizing same-sex marriage, the state becomes its official promoter. In every situation where marriage affects society, the state will expect good people, like you, to betray your conscience, to betray the natural order, and to betray Christian morality. This new type of persecution is already hitting bakers, photographers, and flower shops that choose not to serve same-sex quote-unquote weddings. For example, in Massachusetts, the father of a 6-year-old boy was arrested and put in jail. Why? Because he objected to the pro-homosexual curriculum being taught in his son's school. Unfortunately, more and more children are being exposed to the homosexual lifestyle in school, even though parents don't want it.
Today, the sexual revolution is telling people to accept unnatural vice. This explains why homosexual activist Paul Varnell wrote, "The gay movement, whether we acknowledge it or not, is not a civil rights movement, not even a sexual liberation movement, but a moral revolution aimed at changing people's view of homosexuality." If homosexual marriage is accepted, what logical arguments can be used to oppose, let's say, 2 men and 3 women from getting married? It's shocking, but elements of certain subcultures are already advocating incest, pedophilia, bestiality, and other forms of unnatural behavior.
In the book of Genesis we read, God created man in his image. In the divine image he created him. Male and female he created them. God blessed them, saying, Be fertile and multiply, fill the earth and subdue it. Marriage is not the creature of any state. It was established by God in paradise for our first parents, Adam and Eve. Whenever we violate the natural moral order established by God, we sin. That's why same-sex marriage is wrong, and that's why it must be opposed.
Natural marriage is on the right side of history.
Stand on the right side of history.
Defend God's marriage.
And be
on the right side of history.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Fight Back, and please share this video with your friends. To get future episodes of Fight Back, I invite you to subscribe to our weekly TFP Student Action newsletter by clicking here. God bless you.